He is Jalen Anthony Rose.
What up, though?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together we are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we
give
do?
the people.
Yes.
What they want.
Great to have you back in studio in New York City in advance of the NBA draft Thursday night on ABC. We have a draft prospect joining us in the program later. Stay tuned for that. But Jalen, we start with your favorite quarterback in the NFL, Lamar Jackson. The latest news is he has an inconclusive test that may cause him to miss some practices. But more importantly, he talked about his team's Super Bowl aspirations and his jersey number. Let's listen to your favorite quarterback in the NFL, Lamar Jackson.
We win the Super Bowl, I'm going to number one. That was my first number ever. My dad told me number one, get number one because that's the best. Like, you the best. And it always stuck with me. I want to retire number 8 and number 1. I want to do that here at the Ravens. So I want to win the Super Bowl with number 8 on, do much as I can with number 8 on, then come back and do the same thing with 1 on.
He wants to wear number 1, Jalen.
I did it.
I don't consider them the number 1 favored team to come out of the AFC, but to me, they're the number 1 threat to the Chiefs. Do you agree with that?
He on his Frank Sinatra trying to do it his way, right? How about this, though? We saw Kobe Bryant have 2 numbers, get hung in the rafters, the late great, by the Los Angeles Lakers. Lamar Jackson, I'm glad he's going to not only do it his way, but now they got weapons around him, David Jacoby.
Yeah, they do.
And so now they're going to have a terrific run game, and he's going to show the league with more weapons on the outside that Lamar can be a sniper. So yes, of course you got to pay attention to Patrick Mahomes. And I know you love Bills Mafia. I get it. The Cleveland Browns are improved, and Julio is with the Titans now. I get it. But Lamar's my guy, and you know how this works.
I know. When you mention the weapons, when you look at what they have at the skill position, something that they've always been criticized for not having enough around Lamar Jackson, you bring in Sammy Watkins, you bring in the other players. Like, they do need to keep him healthy, but Dobbins, Andrews, Hollywood Brown, Rashad Bateman they just drafted. Like, this is a revamped offense. Will we see him do it through the air and the ground the same way we saw him do it his MVP season?
Jalen and Jacoby fame, Rashad Bateman, by the way, out of Minnesota. Mark Andrews has been an elite tight end, basically used as a wide receiver. Now you have actual receivers. Hollywood Brown, got to have a breakout year. You got to have a breakout year. Sammy Watkins, got to keep him healthy because I ain't worried about Lamar.
That's the thing. Everyone talks about Lamar needs to pass more from the pocket. Lamar needs to improve his passing. You know what he doesn't need to improve? Running.
The last 2 MVPs of the NFL are Lamar Jackson and Aaron Rodgers. Those are the last 2 regular season MVPs. Did I miss something?
No.
I saw Patrick Mahomes get his Super Bowl. I saw Tom Brady get his Super Bowl and win finals and Super Bowl MVP. I get it. But Lamar's still that deal. He going to do work this year.
I love the Ravens this year. He seems to be a quarterback who is the franchise quarterback of the future for the Ravens. However,
dual threat.
When you look at the Bay Area and the San Francisco 49ers,
Bay Area!
You have to wonder if Jimmy Garoppolo is the franchise quarterback moving forward. The latest is Kyle Shanahan said that Jimmy Garoppolo is our number 1 quarterback. Trey Lance is our backup at number 2. Jalen, how long do you think that will be the case in the Bay?
I think that'll be the case until Trey's ready to go. That's what I think. You know how this works. You take a quarterback not only in the first round, but you take them that high, and their styles of play are actually vastly different because Trey is going to be a dual threat and Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be a pocket quarterback. But you know what I got to ask? The goon with the spoon, E40. I got to ask him what he think because you know where I'm going to be week 1 when the 49ers start the NFL season? In attendance. In attendance.
I want you in the
attendance.
I want you in the
I'll be
suit.
in the Bay at the game because we gonna win week 1.
Okay.
Why was all fun and games until I said that?
I'm not addressing that. Whenever I think about Jimmy Garoppolo, I think about the quarterback that brought them to the Super Bowl, the quarterback that had the ball in his hands at the end of the game. That's all he had to do was complete 1 deep ball and could not do it. Now, Jalen, if you look at what happened since then, since this 4th quarter drive, that didn't work out. They've been trying to get off him when Russell Wilson was supposed to be available, when Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be available. They got Trey Lance in the draft. It seemed like ever since this drive, they've been trying to get off Jimmy G. Somebody tells me he does not finish the season as the starter, even though he starts it as the starter.
I agree with you. That's a terrific assessment. And that's okay, by the way. He's still shown that he could be a starting quarterback somewhere else if he's not there in the NFL. He's just not a dual threat to me. And you mentioned the key point. He had his one shining moment. He missed the throw.
He did.
And right? He missed the throw. And you know Shanahan is really good friends with our guy with the Rams.
McVay.
And you saw what McVay did, right, with Jared Goff. It was all good just a week ago.
He got off him. Somebody tells me the same thing will happen in the Bay Area. Jalen, we have some huge news out of Tokyo. The GOAT, the undisputed GOAT of women's gymnastics, Simone Biles, has withdrawn from the individual all-around competition, not from the Olympics itself, but from the all-around competition to focus on her mental health. What do you think about this decision from Ms. Biles?
Here's what I want people to think first and foremost about the courage of this terrifically talented young woman. She was also one of the victims during the Larry Nassar years.
It's a great point.
Right? So she's still competing in that environment where that abuse took place and accomplishing everything you just said and doing it as a young woman. Okay? Like, you're required to behave like a professional and move like an adult. And now you have a staff, and now you have a financial advisor, and you have a team of people that need to help you get to where your goals have accomplished. But she's still a young person. And she competes in multiple events also. And you told me earlier, like, I know that that's not norm. I know that that's the norm in a lot of ways for her to compete in 4 events, being so very talented the way she is. But imagine just having to be perfect at 4 different exercises, though. See, I can miss a shot in basketball or have a turnover. In football, you could get a penalty. And we were all sitting there, and I was like, man, I ain't got a cut. Y'all heard me say you can't get a cut every day. You remember I said that? Mm-hmm. I was sitting there thinking, man, I'm broke. My skin is bad. My teeth is bad. I'm about to be on CBS. People gonna see this, right? And so now for her to be as vulnerable as she is, for other people to learn from, it's refreshing. I support her. We support her. And I hope she still finds the strength to get back out there and compete in this year's Olympics.
She also mentioned the unique conditions under which these Olympic Games are being played, with the testing and without the crowd and being sequestered and not having the freedom to sort of go about the city during off days and things like that.
Man.
Like that just adds to the pressure, adds to the stress. And we put such huge expectations upon her to deliver another 5 gold medals. Again, deliver another 5
Say that again.
gold
Say that
medals
with your chest.
To deliver another 5 gold medals.
How many gold medals do KD and Dame have to deliver this year?
0.
You see what I'm saying?
0.
And if they do bring the one home, it's going to be a great feat.
Mental health, just like physical health,
Correct.
I really hope that she is able to compete in the individual events, and perhaps we can end this story with a little bit of gold at the end. Or perhaps not. We wish her the best.
Absolutely, we do.
Jalen,
What up, though?
when we come back, we're going to be joined by Jason Preston, one of the most explosive players on the floor with one of the best stories off the floor. Jason Preston joins us right after this. You are watching Jalen and Jacoby.
Lottery pick right there.
It's just about going out there and making the most of it.
Double OT, we coming for the trophy. See us courtside, I kick it by the nosebleeds. Everybody knows me.
Every year I watch the draft and seeing the number 1 guy go by, I wanted to be in that person's shoes.
I put a word.
Oh my goodness! Oh, that's pretty. A human highlight reel.
7 on the team, put the team on my back. And we living out our dreams, yeah. We don't do complain.
Coming to you live on Pier 17, the Seaport District of Manhattan, brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, who joins us right now on the program?
A terrific prospect, a better young man who's going to make a name for himself in the NBA, just like he did in this year's NCAA tournament. Please welcome Jason Preston to Jalen and Jacoby.
I appreciate you guys having me, man. It means a lot. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for taking the time. Right here, Jalen Jacoby, we've been big fans of yours, tracking you for a while. You've had a very interesting journey from high school to prep to Ohio U. Explain to the people that aren't familiar sort of what that process was like for you to get to this spot ready for the draft.
You want the whole thing?
Absolutely. Your entire journey, no doubt about it. The ups, the downs, your journey, my brother.
I got you.
I know you've overcome a lot. And I know how much this means to you. So please let the world know your journey and how you've overcome.
Yes, sir. So, I started playing basketball when I was 4 years old. Was always playing around the house. My mom was also, a big basketball junkie. She was one of her family members to move from Jamaica to the States. So I grew up in Orlando, Florida. Like I said, was always playing basketball, local rec centers, parks, my house. Like whenever I could, I was playing. And like I said, forward to all the way up to high school, I was always playing basketball whenever. And, freshman year, sophomore year in high school, I played on JV, had pretty good seasons there at JV. And then things, started to really change my junior year. Right before the start of that, my mother sadly passed away from lung cancer. There was a little falling out between, my side of the family and my stepdad. So lost that relationship a little bit. Then my cousin, my mom's sister's son, moved down from Jamaica to, come live with me in Orlando. I lived also with two other family friends to finish my high school career. And, it was tough at first, but, I had a great support system and everybody who was in Jamaica, my aunt, uncle, cousins, and then obviously people who were living with me as well. Justin Morgan, Brian Whitaker, and Russell Whitaker, they were just very helpful for me at the time, and I'm very thankful for them. But, in terms of like basketball at that time, I'm not really playing a whole lot on varsity. I was really small, and my JV years in high school, I was really just a shooter because, like I said, I was really small. I was coming off pin downs, and I really tried to, add more things to my game, but it didn't really, work out too much for me. And people were telling me that I should, do other things, have a backup plan besides playing basketball. And I just really, really love basketball, so I want to do something else involved with it. So, I wrote about basketball. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Fansided, the app.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
What's it called? I know, Jalen, I know you're a big Detroit Pistons fan.
Detroit basketball! And Tayshaun Prince is my guy, too. Tell him the story about that as well.
He's a journalist.
No, for sure. I love Tayshaun. Being skinny players, I loved watching him growing up. But if I couldn't play basketball, I wanted to stay within the game. So I figured I'd write about it, and I wrote a couple articles on Fansided about the Pistons, and I could voice my opinion on them, and it was something I really liked. I actually had a couple articles that go on Bleacher Report, so that was something I was going to do. Like I said, through my high school career, I wasn't playing at all, wasn't doing anything, so I was committed to that. I was going to go to University of Central Florida, which is like 10 minutes away from my house. I graduated high school. I was already majored in journalism over there. I was taking summer classes. And then one day, one of my friends asked to go play in an AU tournament. And I was like, sure. He needed a fifth player. And I was like, sure, that'd be awesome. I get to play 40 minutes and stuff. It sounds fun. So tournament plays out, and I played really, really well. Played really well. We probably beat some teams we probably shouldn't have. And it was a really good two tournaments because it was one tournament after the other. I had some D2s reaching out to me and some low D1s. In fact, I was this close to going to D2 in Lincoln Memorial, but a lot of them were talking about redshirting this year and possibly getting on a scholarship next year. Because, at this point, it's late July. The fall semester is about to start in 2 weeks. So none of them have a lot of scholarships at this point to offer. And a guy recommended I go prep school, basically a fifth year high school. I ended up following him there, and that was a crazy time in itself. There were about 70 kids there, 5 different teams. I've come to find out that's not like most prep schools, but I ended up bouncing around from team to team. At the end of the year, I eventually made it on the top team. And as that year finished, I realized I didn't have any film of myself. So I decided to, ask for the team iPad on one of our road trips back from a tournament. And I started screen recording all these clips of myself. And then I sent it over to one of my friends, and he puts it all together, makes a little 2-3 minute mix for me.
Wow.
The Believe Twitter page then posts it. And then I get DMs from Ohio and Longwood, and I ended up taking visits to both, got offers from both, and I ended up choosing Ohio.
That's crazy. The Believe page, shout to them as well. Shout to Rob and Troy, who got a podcast on that. So you go to Ohio University and you ball out in the NCAA tournament. What was that experience like for you?
No, it was amazing because, coming there my freshman year, we were second to last in the MAC. And me and one of my teammates who I had to my final year at Ohio, Ben Vanderplas, that was something we'd always talk about, just building the program, getting it where it needs to be, back to where it used to be at a Sweet 16 team. And, we were really big on that. So, to fast forward to junior year and for Ohio to get the national recognition, the school deserves, it's really, really humbling and awesome.
Well, you're now obviously eligible for the draft, and there's some people have you going late first round, mid first round, maybe second round.
Guard.
What teams have you been working out for? What teams have shown interest in you?
I worked out with 16 teams during this process. It was a long process, and I went to a lot of different cities. It was definitely a dream come true, just seeing the amount of cities I have and going that far out west. Like, I've never been farther than Ohio, so it was an unbelievable experience.
Well deserved. Looking forward to watching you get drafted, doing work in the league, and eventually having your own show like this one. Appreciate you joining us. Best of luck. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
We'll be back right after this very short break. You're watching. To Jalen and Jacoby, want to thank Jason Preston for coming through. Jalen Rose, yesterday I told you I have no concern about Team USA. They're going to win out. They're going to win the gold.
One of us is so confident.
They went up against Iran, not the toughest opponent in Tokyo. However, they blew them out. Jalen Rose.
It was great to see them ball and get their confidence. Dame had a big first half. But I got to ask you a question. How many NBA players on our Ron's team?
Zero. Absolutely zero. Not even close. Not even former NBA players.
I'm just saying. I want them to win the gold too, fam.
They're going to win the gold. Just remember, I said it. Team USA, I never criticized you. I never doubted you. I never backed out on you. We're going for gold. We're winning gold.
That's one of us.
We are winning gold.
Me.
We are winning gold in Tokyo. I promise you. Jalen Rose, it is now time for one of our signature segments. It is time for Soft Move or Boss Move. Jalen, one of my favorite rappers, Ricky Rose, Rick Ross. He's the boss. He recently posted on Instagram that he owns 100 cars. 100 cars. Look, that's just 10% of his cars right there. No loaners. He owns them all outright.
How about I met Rose like 15 years ago at the Cookout movie with Queen Latifah and Common.
He said,
now to see him living like that, it just makes me so
he
very
owns
happy.
100 cars and does not have a driver's license. Soft move or boss move?
Rose!
Owning 100 cars and not having a driver's license.
He's the biggest boss thus far. Boss move. You already know what it is. You know why he don't need a license? Because he can have himself chauffeured, dog. Get up on game.
So that's what I'm wondering. Does he just get driven around everywhere? Because here's my problem with that is all those are old cars. Those back seats are not as comfortable as some of the new sedans. So if you're getting driven, do you sit in the passenger seat?
Have you ever seen the boss Ricky Rose without a glass of champagne at least in his hand?
He's not a small man. He's not a small man. I know he's not sitting in those back seats of those 1950s cars. I know that's not happening. I think he's driving them regardless. He's driving without a license. That's what he's doing.
He been driving without a license.
Yeah, that's what he's doing.
He's driving without a license.
He's driving without a license. He gets pulled over. He's just like, I'm Rick Ross. I don't need a license.
It's paid for.
Yeah, Rick Ross.
It's registered.
It is registered and it is paid for. Make sure that you listen and follow and subscribe to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast. We always have exclusive content on our podcast. Today we have NBA draft prospect Jason.
I'll be to the
Preston
soon. I'll be to
on
the crib
pod.
soon, Rose.
We'll be back.